once in a while it hits me. I guess probably more while we've been digging up the plane than any other time, because it's a physical reminder that Dad really was there, that was his plane, or that was the plane that he was flying, that he was actually working the controls. Bill said we walked over to the wreckage, and the joystick that you control the elevator and the ailerons with, grabbed onto that and said, you know, the last person that touched this stick was your dad. And that's kind of emotional. I guess probably more now even than when I was younger. I wish I knew my dad. But I guess too in ways I know him pretty well, just by knowing these people. And I really care for the Waorani. He didn't know them like I know them, but I think I sense what he would have felt, and some of the reason that he wanted to come here, so that these people who really are fun-loving people but lived in just stark terror of each other and of outsiders, the gospel really, I believe, is the only answer for them. And I feel when I'm here, and especially when we were pulling up parts of the plane, I guess I felt what my dad's passion was for the Indians here in the jungle, and to take the gospel to them, and not just that, but to care for them too. In 1947 or 48, the fledgling young organization, Mission Aviation Fellowship, heard that a missionary airplane in Ecuador had crashed, and they were looking for a professional pilot to go down there and replace that plane and the pilot. And so MAF asked my mom and dad, who weren't even married at that time, if Dad would quit college, and if they would get married and go down to Ecuador, which they did. I kept telling our grandchildren coming down out of the Andes Mountains that pretty soon the canyon that we were in was going to open up, and then that would be the jungles. I'm sure they thought it was a little bit far-fetched that this huge deep canyon we were in was going to open up, but when it did, they all got excited. And I said, yep, the Shell Oil Company came to the first flat place that they found coming out of the mountains, and that's where they built their airstrip, which is why the town is called Shelmera, after the Shell Oil Company. The real excitement in Shell was the day after we arrived. Jamie said that they wanted me to visit ITEC, and I was really a little on the weary side after being very weak for a month before the trip. And I said, well, how about if we do it tomorrow? And he said, no, they're really waiting for you over there. But it was all a setup, because when we got over to ITEC, Gallo had just landed in the little ITEC Ecuador Cessna 182 coming out of the jungles. And when they pulled into the ITEC ramp in front of the hangar, I thought I saw Minkai in the back of the plane. And so I went out to take a closer look, and sure enough, they had brought Minkai and Ompore into Shell. In the middle of the plaza there in Shell, they have a monument with a pool at the bottom that represents the waters of the Amazon, and then maybe a 35, 40 foot high oil derrick coming out of the pool to represent the basis of the economy down there, which is oil. And then on top of that, there had been a life-size model of my dad's little yellow Piper PA-14 to represent communication and transportation necessary in the jungles where there are no roads. Well, apparently the old airplane had grown black with mildew over the years. So the ITEC team had taken down the oil derrick and had sandblasted and repainted it. And then they completely rebuilt this model, life-size model of Dad's plane. So we got to watch them mount that, and with a big crane put the airplane back up on top, which was now bright yellow again. Just incredible to, after not being back in Ecuador for 6.5 years, to go back and to realize myself how deep our roots were in Ecuador, and especially there in Shell where Mom and Dad had lived. The day following the rebuilding of the monument there in the plaza in Shell, Gallo and the ITEC staff there in Ecuador had decided to have a ceremony, a dedication ceremony. I had no idea when they took us to this dedication ceremony that it really was intended to be a tribute to the Saint family for having been involved now for 5 generations. Very, 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 very moving to have the Waurani and all of our grandchildren, well, all but 2 of our grandchildren, and I just never dreamt of having the kind of reception that Gallo and Eugenia and the ITEC staff gave us, and all the work they did to rebuild the monument. That was very special. Somebody had erected a marble pedestal with a bronze plaque on top explaining what the significance of that monument. So now when people go, they'll read that plaque and they'll understand what the significance of that little yellow plane is up on top of the monument. Such a long string of memories that are easy to forget. It was a great homecoming.